Hey everyone, it's Christine, the Mighty Morphin Fashion Ranger. Before we get into the video, I just want to remind you to subscribe to my channel below if you haven't already. And you can also click the little notification bell if you want to get notified every time I upload a video. And you can also leave me a thumbs up or some comments so I know that you enjoyed this video and you would like to see more. You can also suggest other types of videos that you would like to see me do if you would like me to do that. Anyway, so this video I wanted to do a version of it. I'm also probably going to do a version of it once I actually give birth, because then I can give you a total overview of everything that happened. Sorry if I'm a little sniffly. I'm still at the end of getting over a cold. So I've been getting some messages on Instagram lately, and I'm not going to read them to you, but they're interesting to me. And the reason they're interesting to me is because they seem very similar, even though they're from different people. So I kind of wanted to address those and just address some myths, at least in my opinion, like things that I have heard about being plus size and pregnant in general, and just kind of share with you the experience that I've had so far. And then, like I said, after I actually give birth, because I know I'll be interacting with more people at that point, I'll give you an overview of my experience with the actual labor process as well. But I've been getting messages lately on Instagram from women who are plus size who just started their trying to conceive journey. And they have a lot of questions because obviously I've been posting on Instagram, pictures of my belly, that I'm in my third trimester. We only have about 6 weeks left to go. I did conceive naturally. I did not have any sort of help from a doctor. That was definitely one of the things that I think a couple different people asked me. I didn't have any problems conceiving. I would say, because there was also a question asking if my doctor suggested that I lose weight first before trying to get pregnant. My doctor did not suggest that to me. I had the gynecologist that I had for the past, I think, like 5 or 6 years. She is just absolutely fantastic. I love her so much. Compared to other experiences I've had, which if you want to hear about some terrible doctor experiences I've had with being plus size in general, I have a lot of those, and I thought about making it into a series, so let me know if you would like to see that. But she's been fantastic. I can't even say enough good things about her. She's amazing, and she has never made my weight an issue. She definitely, the first few times I saw her, because I explained to her some of the bad experiences I've had, she honestly didn't even bring up my weight at all, because she's like, that's not why you're here. That has nothing to do with you getting an annual exam. I don't really need to bring it up. But I think there was, I don't think it was the last time I saw her, but I want to say it was the time before, that she just said, try to get some exercise, because I noticed you did gain some weight in between the last time you were here and this time. So just try to make it part of your lifestyle. She doesn't put pressure on you at all. She's not weight focused. She's just a regular human who understands that just because I am plus sized, that doesn't mean that I'm unhealthy. That doesn't mean that I'm going to have problems conceiving. That doesn't mean anything. The last time I went to see her, I told her that we were planning on getting pregnant and we wanted to start trying. And she said, you may hear things about being overweight and people saying you might have trouble conceiving, or you won't be able to have a baby naturally. You'll have to have a C-section just because of the way your body's made or something. And she's like, basically, that's not accurate. So she was like, there's no reason that you can't have a completely normal pregnancy and a completely normal delivery. There's really no reason. And I was like, sweet, I appreciate that. And she told me that just being the age that my husband and I are and being relatively healthy, other than both of us being overweight, she was like, the average couple your age usually takes about 3 to 5 months to conceive. So I was like, okay. And then we were planning on trying to get pregnant that summer of 2016. But then I started having my gallbladder issues and I wanted to get that taken care of first. So then after I got my gallbladder out, after I had my follow-up appointment, after my surgery, I asked my doctor who did the surgery, I said, we wanted to try to get pregnant over the summer, but that didn't happen because of this. How long should I wait before we can start trying? And he just said, the body heals by the time you, like, if you got pregnant today, by the time your stomach would actually start stretching and stuff, all of your stuff on the inside would be healed. So go ahead and start trying today if you want to. And I was like, yay! So that's what we did. So it took us about 5 months. It was, literally exactly 5 months, which she said 3 to 5 months. So we were within the average. It took us 5 months to conceive, which it always seems like when you're trying to get pregnant, it's hard when you get your period and you're not pregnant. You get disappointed. That's just, it comes with it. And especially if you have like other friends of yours that you see getting pregnant and you're like, why am I not getting pregnant? But honestly, I will say, you know how people say like when you stop trying, that's when it happens. Not that we stopped trying, but we weren't, I would say there was a solid 2 months where we were really gung-ho, like doing it as much as possible, trying anything we could, like really going full force at this thing. And literally the month that I conceived, I think we tried like 3 times. And I was just like, if it happens, it happens. I'm over trying to focus on it too much. It's too stressful. And that's when it actually happened. So that is a good tip, I think. People say it and you're like, it's so hard to actually feel that way. But honestly, I think that probably helped us because I wasn't stressed out about it. I wasn't super worried about it. I was just like, if it happens, it happens. Whatever. I was just kind of over it at that point. I was like, I'm trying really hard and it's not happening. But then it did happen. So that is something that people have been asking me. If I had help from a doctor or anything. No, we didn't have any help from a doctor. The one thing that we did try was, it's a lubricant that's supposed to increase sperm motility, I guess. It's called Pre-Seed. We did try that for the last like 2 or 3 months that we were trying. We didn't use it at the beginning because I didn't even know it was a thing. But I don't know if that actually helped or not because I just don't know. So it's something you can try. I literally picked it up at Target. It was like $20. So if you want to try that, go ahead and try that. But the moral of the story is, my doctor did not tell me to lose weight before I was trying to get pregnant. No one made me feel like me being plus size was going to make me have complications. No one made me feel like my body was going to be like a hindrance to actually creating life. And I feel like that's how all doctors should be, because honestly, unless you have like endometriosis or PCOS, like something that's actually a reproductive issue that could cause problems with getting pregnant, there is absolutely no reason why you couldn't just get pregnant naturally. Like, there's literally not. So if your doctor is telling you that, I would honestly think about changing doctors, because you're going to have to see this doctor a lot during your pregnancy. And if you get pregnant and you didn't lose like the amount that they wanted you to lose or whatever, you're just going to be hearing it throughout your entire pregnancy, and it's going to make you 100% extremely miserable. Like, I can't even imagine. I know I was talking about the gynecologist that I had. The OB that I have for my pregnancy, he is also equally as awesome. I know I did say he told me at this point to try to not gain a whole lot more weight during the pregnancy. But again, he has never brought it up as like a negative issue. When I first got pregnant, he told me, you know, sometimes if you're already on the larger side, when you get pregnant, you might not gain a whole lot of weight throughout pregnancy because the baby's just kind of living off what you already have. And I was like, okay. And that was literally the only time he brought it up until about a month and a half ago, when he was like, hey, you gained about 20 pounds. Let's try to keep that around the same. Let's try to not gain that much more weight. But he never really brought it up as an issue. He never said that there's going to be any sort of complications happening. He never said anything that made me feel like I'm being treated differently because I'm plus sized and pregnant. And something else I wanted to bring up, because I brought it up in the collab that I did with Superb Stella, if you guys caught that at all. That is in, I think I put it in my pregnancy update playlist, so that'll be somewhere if you want to look at that. But I think the biggest part, and something I have been hearing from people, is just getting visibility to people who are plus size and pregnant, because no one knows what, I feel like the general public doesn't know what being plus size and pregnant is supposed to look like. I have had many an instance where I felt very uncomfortable with people. One of them was maybe about a month ago. Someone at work, I was walking down the hall, and she made a comment to me like, oh, you're not smiling today? What's wrong? And like I said, if you watched previous videos of mine, when I was not feeling good, like, I was straight up miserable. So I looked at her and I was like, well, I'm like 7 months pregnant, so there's not really a whole lot for me to be smiling about because I feel terrible. And she looks at me and then looks down at my stomach, like, obviously, like, stares at my stomach, looks at me in the face again and says, oh, you're pregnant? I would have had no idea. Do you know how rude that is? It's one thing if you just said, oh, I didn't know, congratulations. You can just leave it at that. You don't need to literally stare at my stomach and be like, oh, I had no idea, because it kind of implies that you just thought I was getting fatter. At least that's what goes through my head when I hear stuff like that. I think I also mentioned this in a previous video. The lady at Motherhood Maternity, when I was buying some pants, this was back in September, she said to me, oh, are you expecting? After I had tried on a bunch of clothes, she said, oh, are you expecting? Which, would I be trying on clothes at a maternity store if I wasn't expecting? And I said, yeah, I'm due in December. And she said, oh, wow, I wouldn't even be able to tell. You're so lucky. these are things that you should not say to a pregnant person who, at the time, because I'm trying to remember if this was before or after we went on vacation. Because honestly, for the whole, like, first half of my pregnancy, I felt pretty uncomfortable talking about it because I also didn't know what being pregnant and plus size was supposed to look like. Because pretty much the only person I had to go off of was I had seen some photos of Tess Holliday when she was pregnant, and she had a huge, round, giant belly. Like, you could tell she was pregnant. But I didn't know that my body might not necessarily look like that when I was pregnant, which honestly, it doesn't, and I'll get to that in a second. This video might be a little bit long, just to prepare you, because I feel like I have a bunch of other stuff I want to talk about. So, to say to someone, oh, I would have had no idea, you're so lucky. Honestly, at the time, I didn't feel lucky because people didn't know that I was pregnant because I didn't fall into the stereotypical what a pregnant person should look like idea. And another example of that was, I would say, maybe back in like August, I was standing in line at work for the bathroom, and there was a girl who, I think she was like 2 months ahead of me in her pregnancy, but she was a very small, petite girl, so she had a huge belly. You could obviously tell she was pregnant. She came in the door a couple people after me. The lady in the front of the line turns around and looks at her and goes, oh, honey, you can go ahead of all of us. You clearly need it more than we all do. And I was just like, she's only 2 months ahead of me. I also have a baby pressing on my bladder. I gotta pee too. So, what I'm trying to do is basically bring more awareness to the world. And even if it's not the world, maybe it's just a handful of people who will have a slightly different perception of what it looks like to be plus size and pregnant. And that is the goal. And I want other people to feel proud of their body while they're pregnant, regardless of what it looks like or what you think it should look like. Because, sorry, again, getting over a cold. Because at the beginning, I felt like I couldn't take bump pictures because I didn't have a bump. So there wasn't really anything to see. It was just me, and I'd be like, hey, look, 14 weeks pregnant. You can't tell. And I felt like other people who were smaller than me, you could tell. So I feel like there's kind of a stigma with being plus size and pregnant that you can't be proud of your body, and you absolutely can be. Like, if you think about I'm so sorry that I'm coughing. If you think about all the stuff that happens while you're pregnant and the crazy ability of your body to do all of these wonderful things and create a life and grow an organ, like, you 1,000,000% deserve to be proud of your body, because you're literally creating a human. That's, I don't care who you are, that is huge. That is a huge thing. So the next thing that I want to do, sorry, my throat just feels really dry, which is why I'm coughing. And now I'm spitting on myself. The next thing I want to do is explain what a bee belly is, because I mentioned this, I think the first time I posted a pregnant belly photo, and people were asking me what it was. So I'm going to get up and show you what my belly looks like to explain. Okay, so in a typical pregnancy, what people think of is a D belly, which would be a fully round bump from top to bottom. What some plus size people get when they're pregnant is what they refer to as a B belly, which is pretty much what I have. So I have maternity pants on, but you can still see. So a B belly is where you still have a slight waistband, which is like this little indent here. It doesn't get perfectly round. You can see it's like a little indent right here. So there's like a bump, a little indent, and then another bump. The baby is down here, but since all of your organs and everything are being pushed upward, that's what's all making this big as well. So I think that was kind of like a turning point for me when I read an article about what it is to have a B belly, because I just thought my body was weird. I have always had this weird waistline here because I'm pear-shaped, and we thought, this sounds weird, but we thought for the longest time, my husband and I, that because I wear my pants right here, that my pants created like an indented waistline, and that's just like why I have that line there. But I actually read that it has to do with the way that your muscles are put together and stuff, and that's why some people don't get a fully round belly. They get this little indent here with almost like two smaller bellies. But once I read that that was normal, I was like, my whole view has changed. I feel like, I don't know, I just felt a lot better about it because I felt like I wasn't weird. And I felt like I didn't have to hide it anymore, and I could just embrace it. And I want everybody to be able to embrace it, because I feel like I know so many women who have been pregnant and plus size and like didn't take any pictures and didn't enjoy wearing, you know, like, if you saw my Halloween pictures that I put up on Instagram, I had an orange shirt that had a jack-o'-lantern like face right down here where my belly should be, and I wore that to work, and people were like, hey, that's a cute shirt. Granted, I don't know if they thought I know some of the people who thought it was really cute knew I was pregnant, but I'm wondering if some of them didn't, and they thought it was like a joke, and I was just making fun of like my gut or something. I really don't know. But honestly, I really don't care, because I thought it was adorable, and I really wanted to wear it for Halloween, because I loved it. So, the moral of the story, and I know this is kind of a long video, the moral of the story is a few things. If you want to try to get pregnant, there's no reason medically, unless you have some other sort of like mitigating factor, if you have another illness that might make reproduction difficult, unless you have something like that, just being overweight is not a hindrance to getting pregnant. I know sometimes you might hear that, but that has not been my experience. That has not been the experience of a million plus-size women who have already given birth. So I'm inclined to think it's not really a thing. And just be proud. I know body positivity is kind of, it can have its highs and lows. And I know for a while I was extremely body positive because I knew my body. It had been that way forever. I had been the same size forever. I knew how to dress myself and I was comfortable. But then I got pregnant and things started to change. And then I felt uncomfortable because it was like I was living in someone else's body because I was like, this is not what my body normally looks like. And it's weird to adjust and have to like re-accept yourself when your body looks different than it did before. So it took me a few months. It did. But learning that what my body was doing was normal, realizing that pregnancy is a miracle in itself, and it's crazy the things that your body can do. You can learn to accept yourself the way you look now, the way you will look 5 years from now, the way you will look pregnant, the way you will look in old age. As long as you love yourself, that's what's important, and there's no reason that you can't love yourself all the time with any change going on. It may take you a little while to get there, but you'll get there. So that's all I really wanted to say. I hope this video was helpful for some of you, and to those of you who stayed and watched the whole thing, I love you. You are my favorites. So that's it for this video, and I will see you guys next time.